Welcome to this course on Galvan. We're going to be talking in this course, again with Adam Sharp, CEO of Galvan, about the future. And we need to start with a big disclaimer that pretty much everything, most of everything that we'll talk about in this video is future states, future ideas, kind of where things are going or what potential could be both with Galvan and just the blockchain in general. So let's talk about medical records. It's a big topic. Tell me your vision for what is possible, short term, and maybe the long term big goal when it comes to medical records.
Yeah, this is part of what brought me over to Galvan and the blockchain is seeing the vision of something that's decentralized, that's owned by the people, and transparent. Certainly, the transparency should be up to me. So whoever wants to see my health information should 100% come through me. And that's where the blockchain provides an awesome opportunity and infrastructure and a foundation for really what we'd always hoped health records would be, but didn't quite have that technology or that infrastructure set in years past.
Can we just back up for 1 second? For lay people like me who don't have any medical background, and maybe the majority of people watching, what is a medical record?
Yeah.
And how much ownership do I have of it now? What is the problem?
Yeah, a medical record is what they create when you go to see a health professional. In most countries, industrialized countries, it includes what we call ICD-9, now 10 codes. And what those are diagnoses. So it's how we bill. It's how we know to pay certain clinics or physicians in many parts of the world. But it's the information that they gather about you when you go to see somebody. So like I said, you should know your allergies. Hopefully you do. But do you have them written down somewhere? Probably not. Most people don't. And so it's something that physicians and health professionals will write down all that information. So if you've ever filled out a survey when you go to see a new clinic or a new physician, that's your health information. They can house it in a variety of ways. It used to be paper charts, and now we've got electronic health records that health systems pay a lot of money. It's a billion, probably $1 trillion industry now. But that's for them to house your health information.
And I don't get to see that?
Oh, you can, but you're going to have to go ask somebody for it.
Okay.
And so have you ever actually tried to
No.
get your health information? It is not a pleasant experience. Most people who have tried, and even if you're able to see it, the cool part is using Web 2.0. People are often now, some of the health systems, you can log in and see it online. But you can't contribute to it. So when you see there's an error, I use this as my example. So I found out I was allergic to sulfa drugs. A friend prescribed me for just a small infection that I had on my face. And I realized my lips began to swell. And I thought, oh no, this can't be the medicine. And I stopped and it went away. And then I started again and started again. Sure enough, I'm pretty as confident as I can be that I have an allergic reaction to sulfa medications. It's not in my health record. Why? Because I haven't been to see my physician since I knew that I had a sulfa allergy.
Wow.
And so if I go there, they would give me that again. And so that's just part of I should own it. Somebody else shouldn't own it. And it's not that we need to be health professionals, all of us, but we should be the ones that own and understand our own health information.
Okay. So the future state, as you see it, is in
Yeah, so good question. So what's the future state? The future state, in my mind, the perfect, I guess, future state would be a decentralized blockchain where I can house all my health information using a decentralized node network that a blockchain has created, and I can house, control, and take that information anywhere I want to go. People can contribute to it. I can go share it with any health professional that needs it. As an emergency physician, I can't tell you how many times where someone would come in a very serious either health condition or accident, and they weren't able to give me the information that I needed about them. And we hadn't seen them in our health system before.
Right.
And I would call another health system, hey, I've got this patient here, I need to take care of them. I don't know anything about them. Are they taking any medications? Are they, and in order to get that information was just more onerous than intended. And so the reality is a future state where people can give those who need it access to their information. Families and friends can help to access it when needed, on a blockchain that you can take from state to state, country to country, and with you wherever you need to go, is really a cool future state where people, again, own, starting with their information, their health and wellness.
Perfect. Makes a lot of sense, especially when you use that use case that you're talking about. So how then let's talk about how the blockchain, how Galvan or the blockchain in general can improve patient experience when it comes to insurance providers. How can the blockchain help
Yeah.
with the world of insurance?
So insurance is different depending on where you go in the world. Even the places that you live, you kind of take what's available to you. And it's been, again, they're attempting to spread the risk, and their missions are valid and important. The reality of the matter is again, they shouldn't own our information and they shouldn't control it. And if we want to give them access to it, then we should be able to do that. I think that's the key part of blockchain, is that it shifts power back to the people that always should have had it with regard to this. There's so many things that this gets into, but I envision, this is future state,
Right.
Again, a place where people can see that everybody pays the same thing for the same condition, right? Like, why is it if you have diabetes and you go to clinic A to receive treatment for diabetes, why should you be charged half or twice what I get charged?
Yeah.
And that's part of where transparency of the blockchain really fits into healthcare. Is we know that the way that costs have escalated in the healthcare industry are unsustainable and out of proportion to the other things that are important to our health and wellness outside of healthcare, like food, shelter, things of that nature, education, to add to that list. But the reality is that's where the blockchain helps. Is it makes things transparent, and frankly, I think that's what we all want when it comes to receiving health services.
Okay, so how about when it comes to pharmaceuticals, drug companies,
Yeah.
either from the
So-
patient and also the research
Yeah.
side?
Yeah, so I'll start with the research because I love the possibilities of us not worrying that we've had to filter studies about drugs or anything for that matter through an entity that we may or may not trust, even if they've done everything perfectly well. I mean, it's just fair, right? If I'm a company if my medicine is going to make me $1 bajillion, well, then I'm inherently biased, even if I've done everything I can to be objective. And so where we house information on the blockchain and we could create studies that could continue through either smart contracts or different things, where the people who are actually asking for which outcomes to measure are the people that would eventually use those medications or use that information to guide their decisions with regard to their health care, is just such a cool idea. And here's an example. So if there's so many things that nobody's ever going to study, and the reason they're not going to study is because it takes a lot of money to get a lot of people together and use objective health outcomes and all the information that goes into your health record to actually do a valid study. You can imagine a group where we have people that have differences of opinion on pick your treatment or pick your epidemiological, variable that you want to study, and people get together and say, oh, I wonder if living in this area causes this compared to living in that area. Well, you could actually coordinate and run your own studies using the blockchain information for anybody that opted in for that particular question. So
So a community of people rather than an individual, is that?
yes, so it's hard to do. This is the part about studies, is they need to be powered, and so you get into biostatistical power, and then you get into all sorts of different things that can adversely affect the study, like volunteer status and who wants to do it. So again, blockchain doesn't solve all problems, but what it does do is give control to the people, outcomes they care about, and puts them with like-minded individuals across the world that could allow them to answer important questions. Everything from nutrition. I mean, so here's an example. So it's hard to study. The reason why we don't know the absolutely ideal diet is because it's hard to disentangle what you eat from where you live and what you do for work. And who's going to change where they live and what they do for work to be in a study? But if you could go find a bunch of people that are, my age, my region, pick all the variables that are similar to me, and then just vary one thing that I like to do compared to you. It allows us to study things and get information that in ways that really hasn't existed before. And so I know for the layperson, this is maybe a little bit boring. For me as a health services researcher, like you just take the information that you have, but it was filtered through like insurance or health systems or however you collected it. And it was based on the information that we were gathering and that I cared about as a physician. So I think I picked important information to do studies on, but it's far more powerful if people get to have a say in what's being done.
Okay. How can blockchain help the average person on the street drive their drug prices down?
Yeah. So this is similar to the insurance prices. The reality is we would all love a little bit more transparency with regard to the costs of medications or procedures or whatever. And so it would be awesome if the blockchain tracked. Wouldn't we all go to find and so it's hard to learn sometimes to know. And so what I mean by that is if you know which generic medicine you want and it's actually well done and it's actually is what it says that it is, well, who wants to go pay more money for the same medicine? And so the reality is especially with regards to health and wellness, it just helps with cost containment. It helps with transparency. And so I love thinking of a place where we can go to one spot to see what medications cost in that area and then seeing the transactions and making sure that, again, it's back to fairness. And I think hopefully most of us agree that people should be able to gain access to medicines that they need in order to be healthy.
Last question. If you could peer into a crystal ball and it's 5 years, 10 years, I mean, how far down the road is reasonable and what kind of big changes do you think are possible? And again, not making any claims here, but what are the things that really could change the world when it comes to blockchain and what Galvan is doing?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be something novel like this that it's the only thing that could change the world with regard to adapting to how we receive and transfer health information and pay for health, care services in a way that is something outside of the traditional. And so a blockchain that's able to show transactions that everybody can track is one of the only ways that that's going to change. And what I mean by that is it's a $1 trillion industry. Trillions and trillions of dollars are going into healthcare companies and insurances and health systems and health professionals, and that's great. We still need all those things. Right. But when we have the groundswell of people across the country, across the world, who are running the blockchain through their nodes and confirmations of transactions, well then all insurances, all physicians, all health systems, they want people to exercise. They want people to check in on their mental health. They want people to be involved in being healthy, because if they're not, they never will be, regardless of how good a physician you have or how good the health system is if you're not engaged in your own health and wellness, you will never actually achieve what you want. And so that's where I believe the blockchain technology has the opportunity to really change things across the world, because why would the United States pay for healthcare infrastructure in another place in the world and vice versa? Why would, and as we've seen some of the catastrophes that have happened in places that are terrible, that we feel terrible for because either war or something else, some natural disaster has caused problems. Well, what happens when a tsunami comes and washes the hospital away that had all your health information? If that's not stored in something that's secure, that's decentralized, like the blockchain, it's just an answer for a lot of things that, frankly, we don't have answers for outside of this cool new technology.
Adam, thank you for enlightening us on the world of Galvan, the world of blockchain, your background. It's been really, really interesting and enlightening. So thanks for joining us, and thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on our next course.